Alright, welcome back. Now, here was our inDesign folder, our inDesign epub that we outputted. What I basically did then for your epub, if you're on a Mac, you need to use something like ZipPeg, or there's some scripts out there also that you can keep in your dock that you can just drag it into and will unzip it. If you're in a Windows machine, you can just literally right click and change it from epub to zip and then unzip it, but not with a Mac. So I actually put two versions in here. I put kind of like a clean virginal version that's right out from the epub, and then one that I made changes in after some of the structural changes we made, and we put some of the additional CSS in and all those good things. So let's look at the default that we're going to get. And as you can see, it made our various HTML pages. Open it up. And the good thing about this, you can really use any editor you're comfortable with. I have Aptana. I have Espresso. I like both of them usually for different things. But you can even hand code it. It won't really make a difference because all the heavy lifting's really been done for you. You can then make your structural changes. All right, so here's one that the page I opened up, and as you can see, here's our thing with our video. And Aptana is giving me this warning that, hey, you have a source structure in here without a separate source tag that's doing the closing of it, and it doesn't like that. And you actually might see an error. If I were to render this out right now, not to epub, but say to iBooks, it will actually say there's an error in here. Okay, so that was what I was talking about when you're using the media one for inDesign. It works better with the HTML. When you're rendering out a Swift, because that's what it's made for. They're interactive. Their digital publishing system that they have, that's what it's made for. So if you just drag and drop it in there and you use the media to do anything, it might cause some errors. So here is the errors we have in here. So again, epub, here's the movie, source problem, and of course there's no poster, nothing about controls, none of those things. So that's the inDesign one. Now here's the changed version where I corrected some of the errors that I had. I changed the video. I didn't make it as a source folder. I didn't put a source tag in. I put a poster in my images folder, just so the first screen I wanted. I did the preload to auto. Again, I want to load up as soon as it comes in. And I also put it in there where you have controls. And here's this thing that says why epubs. Now it's funny because you see this and you would think, with most tags, when you see something wording in between tags like this, that you're thinking, oh, well, it's going to print out that word why epubs MOV. It doesn't, but it is there. So again, not necessarily a big deal either way. You could delete that out, but put those in, and I made some changes. That way it will render perfectly fine. But again, that's just the epub part of it. The video part of it. The other section that you're probably going to want to look at is, I did that one already, for our enhanced section. Because that's really what you probably are coming this for. You'd be like, I could figure out how to put in videos by myself. But what about the rest of it? What about when I want to do something enhanced? I don't know why it's always saying that it came down from the web when I made it right in front of you and there was nothing from the web there, but whatever. Well, anyways, a couple things. So as you can see, here is my tag, and here's the image that it made for me. Now, with any of these, this first line, if you have that in there and you want to make an interactive epub, most of the time it will not work. 9 out of 10 times it will not work. That's the other reason why I broke these up into separate pages, because you only need one of those pages to have this first line in there. All the rest you could delete straight out and it will work just fine. But if you have it in there, 9 out of 10 times your interactive, your JavaScript sections will not work. And it will even throw you a problem with your video. So you really want to get rid of this first line. You only need this doc type line in there as far as your first ones. So I'm going to just get rid of those. So let me show you the cleaned up version. Of course, that's not the one I want. It's the problem with having so many of these things up, right? All right. So as you can see, I got rid of that first line with the doc type, with that XML coding in there. I didn't need that. I added my jQuery and my Flex Slider JS. Oh, other thing. When you put in your JavaScript in here, you really need the C data line in here, these two. Again, it won't throw you an error all the time, but sometimes it will. So it's better just to put the C data tag in there, and then you won't have to worry about it throwing you an error at all. Put those in there in between your script lines, and then you could do your normal JavaScripting as you would. Or in this case, I should say jQuery, before somebody writes me a nasty email. Your jQuery. All right. So as you can see, I made some simple changes, just like a normal Flex Slider, my container, my Flex Slider, my slides. I put the images in that I want, and it works just fine now. Okay, so remember, when you're doing your JavaScript, put in your C data, take out that first line, and then everything will work the way you expect. In a second, we'll look at what the finished version looks like. See you in a second. All right, so here is some rendered epubs. Of course, my eBay's going off. And as you can see, we had our tags. We had our cover sheet in there, and we have our drop cap just as we would want. Let me back up from this a little bit, and we have all our things in there that we outputted. Remember I told you about that pull quote, how it would not run into it. It did go around it, just as that we set it up to do, but it didn't look like that from just looking at the inDesign version. It looked like it was going to overlap, but it didn't. It was just fine. You jump to, here's our image slider. Again, pretty simple. And again, just by taking that out, putting other things in, and here's our video section. So again, we have our poster in there. It works just the way that you would expect. Here's our video. Now our controls come up. You can increase this. You can slap it down, just like you would expect. So again, pretty simple way to output it. inDesign does a pretty decent job at making something nice. And again, you can use any of your HTML editors to make those simple changes. And it comes out pretty much the way you would want for an epub. Now, granted, there's a lot of experiment. You could, make it more beautiful and probably. I'm thinking in the future we're going to see more people making magazines from epubs, because there's really nothing you can't do with epubs now. The JavaScript was really, to me, the last hurdle. So I think you're going to see a lot more magazines doing it because it's open standards. You don't have to rely on making an app. You don't have to rely on using the Adobe DPS system. You can make your own epubs in-house, and you can distribute them anywhere and anywhere you want. It doesn't have to be the App Store. You can do it anywhere. And people will have access to your epubs. And like I said, you can pretty much make them any way you want. And we'll see in the future what people come up with as far as making beautiful layouts with these things. So that was all with the inDesign one. If you have any questions, drop me a line. Have a good one. Bye.